I lost $100 million, not in a year, not in a month, in a single afternoon. The same man who made $100 million in a single day lost it all just as fast. And when the reporters came to ask me what happened, when the whole world wanted to know how the greatest trader alive had fallen so completely, I told them the truth. The market never beat me. I beat myself. Thoughtful. And today, I'm going to tell you exactly how, and more importantly, how to make sure it never happens to you. They always ask me the same question. How did you do it? How did one man see what thousands of others missed? How did you walk into the greatest financial catastrophe in American history and walk out richer than almost any man alive? They expected me to talk about charts, about timing, about inside information, but the answer was never about any of those things. The answer was always the same. It was about the mind. My mind, and the brutal, relentless war I fought against it every single day I sat in front of the tape. Let me tell you what nobody else will tell you about trading. The market is not your greatest challenge. The calculations are not your greatest challenge. Finding the right stock, the right entry, the right moment, none of that is your greatest challenge. You are your greatest challenge. I learned this the hard way, multiple times, through losses that would have destroyed most men, through failures so public and so humiliating that the newspapers wrote about them with barely disguised satisfaction. And every single time I lost everything, and I lost everything 4 times in my life, the enemy was never the market. The enemy was sitting right here, behind these eyes, inside this skull. The enemy was me. The first thing I had to master was what I call the noise of the mind. When you sit in front of the tape, your mind becomes a battlefield. Every tick up makes you greedy. Every tick down makes you afraid. Every rumor makes you doubt. Every opinion from every man in the room becomes a voice in your head telling you that you are wrong. I learned to silence all of it, not because I was emotionless. I felt everything. The fear, the greed, the excitement, the dread. I felt all of it as powerfully as any man. But I learned through years of painful experience that those feelings were not information, they were noise. Beautiful, convincing, dangerous noise. The tape was information, the price was information, the volume was information. My feelings were just feelings, and feelings have destroyed more trading accounts than any market crash in history. The second battle I fought every day was against hope. Hope is a beautiful thing in life. In trading, it is poison. I watched brilliant men far more educated than I was, men with connections I could only dream of. I watched them lose everything because they confused hope with analysis. They would get into a losing trade, and instead of accepting the reality in front of them, they would hope. They would construct elaborate reasons why the market was wrong and they were right. They would hold and hold and hold until the loss became catastrophic. I refused to hope. The moment a trade told me I was wrong, I accepted it. Immediately, without argument, without negotiation. I closed the position, took the loss, and moved on. Not because I enjoyed losing. Nobody enjoys losing. But because I understood something fundamental about the psychology of trading. A small loss accepted immediately stays small. A loss you refuse to accept grows until it consumes you. The third and perhaps most difficult psychological battle was against myself after a big win. Most people assume that losing streaks are the hardest thing to endure psychologically. They are wrong. Winning streaks are far more dangerous. When everything you touch turns to profit, when the market seems to move exactly as I predicted, when you feel invincible, that is when you are most vulnerable. I know this because I lived it. After my greatest triumph in 1929, after making $100 million in a single day, I felt something I had never felt before in the markets. Invincible. And invincibility is the most dangerous feeling a trader can have. Because the moment you feel invincible, you stop being disciplined. You take risks you would never normally take. You ignore signals you would normally never ignore. You become reckless with the very discipline that created your success. I broke my own rules, not out of ignorance, out of arrogance, and the market punished me for it as severely as it had ever punished anyone. The fourth psychological truth I learned, and perhaps the most important of all, is that you must be completely comfortable with uncertainty. Most people cannot tolerate not knowing. They need to be right. They need certainty. They need the comfort of a guaranteed outcome. The market offers none of those things, ever. Every trade you make is an exercise in uncertainty. You can do everything right. Read the tape perfectly, time your entry perfectly, manage your risk perfectly, and still lose. That is not failure. That is trading. The trader who needs to be right will always lose eventually, because the market will always find a way to be wrong at the worst possible moment. The trader who is comfortable with uncertainty, who accepts that losses are simply the cost of doing business, that trader can survive anything the market throws at him. I survived 4 bankruptcies, not because I was smarter than everyone else, because I was more comfortable with uncertainty than everyone else. I knew that losing everything was not the end. It was simply information. Information that told me I had broken my rules, lost my discipline, allowed my psychology to override my judgment, and with that information, I could rebuild. 4 times I rebuilt from nothing, because the rules never failed me. I failed the rules. If there is one thing I want you to take from everything I have shared with you today, it is this. The market will test your psychology every single day. It will make you afraid when you should be brave. It will make you greedy when you should be patient. It will make you feel invincible when you should be humble. It will make you feel hopeless when you should be disciplined. Your only job, your entire job as a trader, is to recognize those moments for what they are. Not reality, just feelings. And then, regardless of what you feel, follow your rules. The market rewards discipline, always, without exception. My name is Jesse Livermore. I was the greatest trader who ever lived, and the market never beat me. Only I could beat me. Remember that.